December, right? Next year?
Each one.
Yes, November, mid-November till mid-December.
$1,000.
Yeah, Eric is displaying here in the office and
You're good, Kush.
All right. Good afternoon to those joining us from Qatar and the Middle East region. Good morning to those joining on a Monday morning here in the United States. And welcome everyone to today's event, the Carbon Neutral World Cup 2022. We're delighted to host today's event to highlight Qatar's sustainability efforts and commitment to delivering a fully carbon neutral event, which remain at the core of Qatar's planning for the FIFA World Cup in November 2022. We thank our partners for today's event, the Embassy of Qatar and also the US Embassy in Doha, and recognize and thank Qatar's Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy for their partnership in today's event, and thank our keynote speaker, Ms. Bodour AlMeer, the Supreme Committee's Sustainability Director. I also want to recognize Jacobs Engineering, who will be represented today by Bo Waters, the Marketing Director for Sports and Entertainment. Jacob is a member of the US Chamber's US Qatar Business Program and has been working with the Supreme Committee on World Cup 2022 projects before Qatar won the bid to host it. Jacobs is an excellent example of an American company's expertise and knowledge development that comes to the table in terms of working with Qatar. I also want to recognize Ambassador Greta Holtz, the Chargé at the US Embassy in Doha, and her entire team at the embassy, Megan and others, for all of their support. Also want to introduce our chamber team, Steve Lutz, Vice President for Middle East, who heads our Qatar program, and Liz Clark, the Senior Manager for Middle East, who runs the Qatar program day-to-day basis. And last but not least, I want to thank all of our members and foremost the three co-chairs of the US Qatar Business Program, ConocoPhillips, ExxonMobil, and Inventor Spa, and I thank them for their leadership and support. Our partner on the ground, the American Chamber of Commerce in Qatar, AmCham Qatar, is also joining us today. I want to mention that today's session is on the record, and therefore we are joined by the media. Following remarks by our three speakers, we will use any remaining time for our participating companies to offer comments or ask questions. I ask our guests from the media, therefore, to contact my team or the Qatar Embassy team after our event if you have any follow-up questions. Today's event is the first in what we hope will be an ongoing effort to support Qatar's sustainability efforts and highlight how the US business community is contributing to Qatar's leadership in sustainability while also growing the global economy. Qatar is a small country, but it bats well above its weight in terms of its importance in a number of arenas. Natural gas often comes to mind, but also sports and entertainment, where it is increasingly becoming one of the premier sports capitals of the world. The Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy has been at the forefront of Qatar's efforts for many years. They committed very early to achieving a carbon neutral World Cup and have invested in building highly sustainable infrastructure that can be used year-round and long after the World Cup ends, and also not just in Qatar, but in places in Africa where it'll donate entire stadiums. The FIFA 2022 World Cup will therefore set a benchmark for sporting events across the world. It is also an opportunity for American companies to facilitate economic growth and diversification in Qatar and has resulted in new partnerships. Jacobs is one such company and has been an integral part, and we'll hear about some of their plans. We also applaud Qatar for focusing on environmental practices as it hosts the World Cup and benefiting employment in the US and Qatar through these efforts. So in the coming months, we will continue to talk about this partnership, to continue to talk about efforts between the United States and Qatar on sustainability. But at this point, I would now like to turn it over to Ambassador Greta Holst to make a few remarks. She has been the chargé at the US Embassy since last year and a strong partner to American businesses looking to grow their presence in Qatar, and also, if I may add, to inward investment in the United States, because Qatar is an important inward investor into the United States, be it chemical plants, be it gas exports, be it real estate, in a number of ways, and defense as well. Very big partnerships there. Qatar is an inward investor to the US and a growing one, both direct and through portfolio management companies. So with that, let me turn it over to you, Ambassador Holst.
Thank you very much, Kush, and thank you to everybody who's joining us here today. Thank you for inviting me to contribute to this discussion as well. And congratulations to both the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and to the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy on featuring this timely bilateral engagement. Across the world, climate change poses a growing threat to people's livelihoods and well-being. The climate crisis is endangering all of us and costing us more day by day. The United States recognizes that it produces 15% of the world's carbon pollution. A lot, I know, and we badly need to reduce that number. But even if we brought it down to zero, we wouldn't solve the crisis alone because the rest of the world is producing the remaining 85%. The U.S. is therefore moving swiftly to join hands with the international community to tackle this crisis. In just the last 6 weeks, we have re-entered the Paris Climate Accord and appointed as Presidential Special Envoy for Climate, former Secretary of State John Kerry. In the coming months, we will convene the world's major economies to raise the ambition of all nations, including our own, to rapidly lower global carbon emissions. We can't settle for only doing the bare minimums, however. We have to challenge ourselves to work together to do more. Here in Qatar, efforts like the Carbon Neutral World Cup are critically important because they act as the specific windows of opportunity to act locally, but with global impact. From sustainable construction and renewable energy to waste management and cleaner transport, there are clear openings for the US and Qatar to deepen our bilateral cooperation to achieve the goal of a carbon neutral World Cup. The World Cup has truly been a whole of government effort in Qatar, with the leadership of the Supreme Committee, and our US industry has partnered with numerous entities to provide solutions to ensure the success and safety of this truly global event. Like the World Cup, sustainability and combating climate change require whole of government domestic and international efforts to generate the necessary impact for generations to come. Our various government agencies, as well as our private sector enterprises, stand ready to partner with Qatar in the long term and with our state-of-the-art, sustainable, and innovative solutions. We are stronger together as we face the challenges of generating greater sustainability and stemming the threat of climate change. The 2020 Public-Private Partnership Law, which Qatar passed, provided a method for U.S. firms to expand and deepen their partnership with Qatar. Qatar and the U.S. plan to explore platforms for enhanced cooperation on topics of mutual concern, including environmental health, waste management, as well as the application of artificial intelligence in civil and environmental engineering. NASA and the Qatar Foundation are partnering with Hamad bin Khalifa University's Qatar Energy and Environment Research Institute to formulate a study on the detection of underground water aquifers. Collaborating to tackle the climate change crisis will not only promote conservation and sustainability, it will also provide high-quality jobs of the future for our people as we emerge from a global pandemic that has inflicted serious damage to our economies across the world. Consequently, this cooperation is even more urgent than ever. As we embark on our work, above all, we must hold ourselves accountable to a single overarching measure of success. Are we delivering results for our people? The goal of a carbon neutral World Cup offers a unique test for us to set goals, achieve and measure results, and demonstrate to the people of our countries that we are serious about slowing climate change and ensuring a better future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Holst. And as you mentioned, the US government is partnering with Qatar across a broad range of different areas related to sustainability. We here at the US Chamber through our US Qatar Business Program are therefore looking also at a broad range. This particular one focuses on infrastructure and the World Cup, which is a very big effort in Qatar. But also we are looking in the future at efforts in the natural gas area, logistics, transportation, and other areas as well. With that, so I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Ms. Bodour AlMeer. Bodour is the Director of Sustainability for the Qatar Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy for the 2022 Games. She has worked on sustainability with the Supreme Committee for several years, previously leading the sustainability and environmental team to meet Qatar's obligations for the FIFA World Cup 2022. She previously worked as Health, Environment and Safety Advisor for all of Occidental Petroleum's operations in Qatar. She has a bachelor's degree in engineering and industrial management from Qatar University. So Bodour, we are very happy that you've taken time this late afternoon, early evening to join us, and we look forward to hearing your remarks. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew, for your kind. Thank you, Coach, for your kind introduction, and I would like to thank you for to thank the organizer for inviting me to speak at this event today. Can you please share, Liz, the presentation?
Just a second. Might take a second. Okay, can you see it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's my pleasure today to speak with all of you and to give you an update on our preparation for the FIFA World Cup in 2022. The FIFA World Cup in Qatar is a competition to crown the world champion of men's national football teams. But in our case, it is also a lot more. We are using the tournament to expedite our development towards achieving our national vision. We see this tournament as an amazing opportunity to develop our country and to showcase our local culture and traditions. With the FIFA World Cup coming to the Arab world for the first time, we see that this is an amazing opportunity to deliver a wonderful celebration of football, culture, and hospitality in a family-friendly environment. I have prepared a few slides that I will share with you shortly. This presentation will include an overview of the event and the unique aspect of this edition of the FIFA World Cup, some examples of how the FIFA World Cup is a catalyst for national development, the environmental part of our sustainability strategy for Qatar 2022. Can you please go to the next slide? Let's start with a few facts and figures about Qatar 2022. This time the event will be in one location. All matches will be in and around our capital city, Doha. Fans can see more than a match per day, and you will be able to get to all stadiums and attractions using our public transportation. No need for any internal flights. There will be 32 teams playing 64 matches in only 28 days. Very compact and action-packed event. 8 stadiums will be used for the event, which is significantly less than in recent World Cups. In Brazil 2014, they had 12 stadiums, and in Russia 2018, they had 14 stadiums. It will be a very busy time in Qatar during the event. We expect over 1.5 million visitors. Our current population is less than 3 million. This means that there will be a strain on all infrastructure systems, and resource conservation is very important. At the end of this, we will all know who can call themselves the world champions. Can you go to the next slide, please? We are 3 partners delivering the World Cup this time. The Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, who I work for, It is the Qatari entity that I represent, that represents the host country and in charge of all preparations and coordination with other local stakeholders. We are also looking after Qatar's interest when it comes to a legacy, to the legacy of the World Cup. FIFA, of course, you all know FIFA. They are the global governing body for football and owns the FIFA World Cup event. And our local partners at Qatar 2022 is the equivalent of local organizing committee, but the governance model is a little different this time. Can you please go to the next slide? Our goals: when we were awarded the hosting rights for the event in 2010, we defined the overall goals that we wanted to achieve by hosting the event. These have been our guiding lights since the start and have been making sure we have stayed on track to deliver something that is really and truly unique. Our goals are to deliver an outstanding World Cup, to deliver an exceptional fan and player experience, to deliver a human, economic, social and environmental legacy for Qatar and for the region, to support economic diversification and development and improve our environmental sustainability and promote our healthy lifestyles and build capacity and incubate innovation. Can you go to the next slide, please? Based on the goals mentioned, we have developed a truly unique hosting concept. This event will be like no other World Cup before. The compact nature of our tournament will mean that you can stay in the same place throughout the entire event, no travel days needed. We will showcase the local Arab culture and the traditional hospitality while bringing cultures together. We are making provisions to make the event family-oriented as a way to engage with a wide audience. We are also placing a strong emphasis on sustainability and legacy, which will be the focus of the remainder of the talk. Can you go to the next slide, please? Our sustainability program was inspired by two key documents. The first document is the Qatar National Vision 2030. This document is a blueprint for where we want to take our nation. It sets out development goals across all sectors and is really a vision for sustainability future in Qatar. It was very important for us that the sustainability program for Qatar 2022 was directly linked with this vision. The second document is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These international goals are a must for anyone creating a sustainability program. And we made sure to align to all the relevant SDGs. In fact, our strategy document includes a section that explains exactly how we support each relevant goal. Before I go to the details of the World Cup sustainability strategy, I want to share some amazing environmental developments that are currently underway or have been delivered recently in Qatar. We have worked closely with these national stakeholders to deliver these projects in such way that it can benefit the hosting of the World Cup, but at the same time, serve the country on the long term. Stadiums, can you go please to the next slide? Our 8 stadiums are amazing. They are beautiful, have amazing technology, and are the perfect place to enjoy a World Cup match. One of our stadiums is fully demountable. 6 of our stadiums are partially demountable. All of our stadiums are green building certified. New community hubs and with sports facilities and greenery includes bike and pedestrian pathways, kids playgrounds and outdoor gyms. The stadiums are built for year-round operation. All of our stadiums are air conditioned. Can you please go to the next slide? The Doha Metro, our brand new metro system, is fully operational and has changed the way to get around Doha. The network with 27 stations connects 5 World Cup stadiums, opened in May 2009, and provided the backbone of tournament transport operations for the FIFA Club World Cup. The tickets are less than $1 and was free for ticket holders and accredited event staff. Can you go to the next slide, please? Al-Kharsa'a Solar Power Plant. It is the first utility scale solar power plant in Qatar. It is being switched on this year to power the World Cup. Energy generated at this plant in 1 month is enough to power all the World Cup stadiums for 1 entire year. 800 megawatt solar PV will provide nearly 10% of our national power demand. Can you go to the next slide, please? 1 million trees. The state has started a program to plant 1 million trees. This program will increase beauty and of local parks and neighborhoods, and it will reduce the urban heat, and it will control the dust as well. Can you go to the next slide, please? Local food supply. Qatar has relied on the import of food, but wanted to change that, especially after the blockade. As a result of a strategic investment program, we have seen recent huge increase in local supply of milk, cheese, tomatoes, cucumbers, etc. The first offshore fish farms have recently started production too. This development reduces the food miles, and it is helping our local economy a lot. Can you go to the next slide, please? Recycling. The recycling sector is growing rapidly in Qatar. New public and private ventures are changing the way we manage these resources. There are solutions in Qatar for nearly all waste streams. Glass recycling is still to be developed. Can you go to the next slide, please? Climate Action Platform. Through our commitment to deliver a carbon neutral World Cup, we have worked with a local stakeholder to establish the first voluntary climate action platform in Qatar. The entity is called Global Carbon Council, or GCC. The main activity, GCC, is to identify and convert carbon reduction projects to carbon credits. GCC are also delivering a lot of awareness raising and capacity building programs by the climate change and climate action. These were some examples of our national environmental project. I will now go into a bit more details about the World Cup sustainability program. We go to the next slide, please. This is our sustainability strategy platform. It is, as I said, it is aligned with our national vision, with our Qatar National Vision 2030 and with the United Nations Sustainable Development Plans. Our strategy has 5 pillars, 25 goals and more than 70 initiatives. The pillars are environmental, social, human, governance and economic. Today I'm going to focus on the environmental pillar. Our environmental pillar have 5 environmental focus areas. Can you please go to the next slide? The 5 environmental focus areas are the sustainable building, carbon neutral, air pollution, waste generation, and water. Can you go to the next slide? So for sustainable building, as I have mentioned before, all of our stadiums have green building certification, except this time, and for the first time, each of our stadium will have 3 types of green building certification, one in design and build, one in construction management, and the third one in operations. Our local green building certification is called GSAS. It is equivalent to the LEED. Our office tower is also GSAS certified. It is the first office tower in Qatar to receive a green building certification. And recently we have launched a program for green hotels. Can you go to the next slide, please? Carbon neutral. Carbon neutrality is achieving the achievement of net zero carbon emissions. This is normally achieved by reducing the emissions as much as possible before balancing the remaining emissions with the purchase of carbon credits. FIFA has hired a third-party consultant to produce an estimation of our carbon inventory. The final carbon inventory report is going to be ready soon. Of course, the compact tournament helped us a lot in reducing the carbon emissions. and as well as our energy efficient stadiums. All of our stadiums are designed to reduce the energy consumption by around 30 to 35% compared to a typical stadium. And we have an agreement to source carbon credits from Qatar-based Global Carbon Council, GCC, as I have mentioned before. Can you go to the next slide? Air quality, it is very important for me, especially during construction. We have managed the dust very well. We have published best practices report on dust management during construction. We have extensive new green spaces around our stadiums, and we are planning to install air quality stations in all of our stadiums. Recently, we have installed one of the air quality stations in one of the tournaments, and the results were good. Can you go to the next slide, please? Waste generation, over 90% diversion from landfill at some construction sites. Our Ahmed bin Ali Stadium is built out of 80% of construction recycled waste. We have a complete recycling system within our office, and recycling of nearly all waste streams at the FIFA Club World Cup, including the organic waste. We had biobins on site to convert the organics into compost. Can you go to the next slide, please? Water, as you may be aware that the only source of water here in the state of Qatar is the desalinated seawater, which is an energy consumption operation, which which will emit more carbon. That is why we have designed our stadiums to produce or to consume 40% less water than a typical stadium. We have an extensive use of recycled water. We use the recycled water for irrigation and for dust suppression. And the landscaping that we're using around our stadiums require little or no water at all. If you would like to have more details or read more details about our sustainability strategy, you are welcome to visit our website. So you can find our sustainability strategy and other documents and that you might like. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Bodour, and going through a very broad area of what you're doing and how it relates to sustainability. I think what we will do is save the questions and answers for the end and that part of the discussion that Steve Lutz will moderate. But at this part of the program, what I'd like to do now is to turn to Bo Waters, the Global Market Director for Sports and Entertainment from Jacobs Engineering, to speak to what their experience has been. After Bo speaks, there will be a moderated discussion by Steve Lutz of the US Chamber. And I'm sure at that point, Bodour will have questions for you and look forward to that part of the program. So without further ado, Bo Waters. Bo, let me turn it over to you. Thank you for participating.
Thank you very much, Kush, and thanks a lot for having us along. Fantastic presentation, Bodour. Extremely informative and great to see. And a big thank you for the organisers of today's event. It's great to be able to collaborate on this stage and present some of the fantastic work that's being done in the region. I'd firstly like to start by acknowledging International Women's Day. Jacobs is absolutely committed to inclusion and diversity and see this as a really important day on our calendar and just wanted to call that out. Clearly, it's been an honour for Jacobs to partner and work alongside the Supreme Committee over an extended period of time. We've not only thoroughly enjoyed the relationship, it's a fantastic working relationship. We're extremely passionate about the region. We're extremely passionate about the event, and really excited that it's going to be the first time that that Qatar has actually hosted one of the largest single sporting events globally. The work that's been done has been a great representation of the Supreme Committee's commitment to sustainability and the notion of carbon neutrality, and we've been excited to be a part of that, and will continue to be through the coming phases of the program, and then into the post-program legacy work. I think there's been a real catalyst, and this is probably the catalyst for an increased awareness for sustainability in the region, and I think that's been a really important component of what's driving so many global sporting events to Qatar. And we recently saw the announcement of the Asia Games being awarded to the country for 2030, which is another great representation of the infrastructure that's been developed, the focus on sustainability and legacy, and also the ability to host many countries in a confined area. So it's a great complement to the country, and also the operators that are working within there. As the program delivery partner, we've definitely worked really closely with the Supreme Committee to deliver the infrastructure and building for the event, and the requirements for them to achieve certain criteria that they committed to during the bid. We've incorporated many sustainability requirements into the design and construction contracts for most of the stadia and precincts, including a lot of the KPIs. And many of these KPIs were sort of embodied carbon of the projects that produce lower carbon materials and reduce the quantity of materials required. And we talked about some of the recycled materials as well, which is again one of those innovative methods that we've used through the project. I'd just like to reiterate the relationship that has been established between us and the Supreme Committee, and it's been long-standing, successful in many different facets, and one that's going to continue on for an extended period over the coming years. We've thoroughly enjoyed working together. We can see that they're not only innovative, but absolutely committed to making their country a better, more sustainable place. And I think it's a fantastic time to be living in the region or coming to visit and participate in some of the global events that are going to take place. As a global firm, based out of America, it's great to have regional representation. We've got a very transient workforce that's committed to living the appropriate standards that we hold ourselves to, and by that we look forward to working on some of the upcoming projects and opportunities that exist. We're extremely appreciative of the work that goes on, and how accepted we've been, and we have had a great time, and great to participate today, and really look forward to the coming future and answering any questions that might take place shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Bo. Certainly appreciate that, and all of the support that Jacobs provides to the number of subcontractors and other American businesses that you work with. So with that, Steve, let me turn it over to you for the question and answer session. Steve?
Yeah, no, thank you, Kush. And let me echo Kush in just saying to our three speakers, it's Bodour, Ambassador Holtz, and Bo. It's absolutely fascinating to hear the thought and the plans that have went in to such an iconic global sporting event, and really a true focus on sustainability. So we applaud all of you and really appreciate your comments. And Bodour, I want to just offer one question, and then I've got a few people I'm going to turn to. We spoke briefly before. If you could talk about the demotable aspect of the stadiums, I find it fascinating. So you'll do the actual World Cup, you'll have a victor, but then you've actually thought about the legacy side. If you could speak to that and what the plans are, and how that ties into sustainability as well. You're muted.
So speaking about the demountable stadiums, we have one fully demountable stadium, which is our Ras Barbuda stadium. The design is like a Lego type stadium. It is built of around 1,000 shipping containers. This is the only stadium that will be completely demountable, and it will be donated to other countries. Our other 6 stadiums will be partially demountable, so it will go half in size. So the 40 seats stadium will go to 20 seats stadiums, 20 seats stadium. So it will go half in size. In terms of legacy, we can already see the legacy aspect, like less than 2 years to the tournament, and we can see the legacy. We have the 8 stadiums as a legacy for the country. We have our sustainability strategy. Half of it is being implemented. We have green spaces, parks for the community around the stadiums, which we consider as a legacy as well. We have the GCC, Global Carbon Council, which I have mentioned in the presentation. We consider it as a legacy as well.
Oh, thank you for that, and again, very interesting to hear that the effort will live on beyond the event itself. So that's a really important forethought. First, I want to go to our friend Shahad. I see you, Shahad Khan at CDM Smith, for a comment or question for any of our panelists.
Steve, thank you very much. First of all, Steve, Kosh, Liz, thank you for organizing such a great session, and congratulations to you. Thanks to Madam Ambassador, Madam Bodour, and of course my colleague, Bo Waters. There's a lot of talk on good stuff happening consistent with Qatar Vision 2030. We are seeing FIFA being one of the most successful sustainable event taking place. It would be helpful if Madam Bodour, Bo, or Madam Ambassador, one of you can comment on beyond 2030. Beyond FIFA 2022 for firms like us. By the way, CDM Smith is one of the leaders in environmental engineering industry, top tier firm, and we're committed to Qatar Vision 2030, and would like to explore the future growth and work with the Qatari government to assist on those venues. Highly appreciate your comment if you can. Thank you, Steve.
Well, that was a very thoughtful question. We'll allow any of our panelists to jump in on that one with any thoughts. Bodour, Ambassador, Bo.
I'm happy to jump in. I think
Please.
as great question, Shahid, and thank you. I think as we progress outside of the World Cup, the work that's been done on that particular event is going to set the precedent for coming events. We've got some major global sporting events coming to the region that will piggyback off the established infrastructure. There's still going to be a significant need for the coordination and logistics support of hosting various countries and people in a particular region. And I think as we evolve from a carbon neutrality point of view, we probably start to move to where the IOC sees themselves from 2030 and beyond from a carbon positive perspective as well. So as industry leaders, we'll have to look to more innovative methods during, before and after the various events that we can create carbon credits.
Thank you, Bo.
And Bo, thank you very much for that, and good points, great question. Next, we'd like to turn to Tariq at Honeywell. Tariq, I see you on participants and would love to turn it to you for a comment or question.
Yeah, thanks very much, Steve. Look, one of the things that we've been involved in, and obviously is core to what we do, sustainability with buildings. And Now, we've been fortunate enough to be strategically aligned with the Supreme Committee from the early stage, from design, and looking at how to incorporate technology into the design aspect to ensure that's obviously future-proof, as well as that it actually provides the ability to be able to drive a lot of these sustainability initiatives. I think what was going to be key here, and listening to you, Bo, talking about obviously what you just said about, how do you keep looking at innovative ways? I think the key is going to be through the operational aspects once the deliverables have actually been completed. And as Honeywell, we're fortunate to be engaged on every stadium here in Qatar. And so the technology there was going to be probably, I think, the most important aspect of it. And in trying to reduce the sort of the carbon footprint, that's in order to obviously purchase less carbon credits, it's going to be important to look at the operational aspect. And for us, from a sustainability perspective, in terms of what we do, I think it's going to be looking at the data that you collect. And there's going to be a huge amount of data that's going to be collected on these cities, and then deciding how do you achieve that 30 to 35% reduction that you're aiming for compared to conventional stadiums. And so I just wanted to sort of understand, is there on a focus on the operational side where even as Honeywell, we or others can support on, where we identify areas of where there is high demand that needs to be optimized or areas of improvement, and be able to help drive those or reduce the carbon footprint from there?
So yes, the BMS system are a huge help in reducing our energy footprint. Operational green building certification helps us guide the work as well. And what was your last question, sorry?
Just from actually from an operational perspective, how to keep look at focusing on reducing the carbon footprint, and how to identify those areas when you've actually gone into operation.
So as I said, we are already working toward our green building certification for operations, and this type of certification helps us a lot in controlling the carbon footprint emission.
All right, fantastic. If there's anything you need from us, just please reach out and let us know.
Thank you.
Well, I see we have a question in the chat. Let me see if I can manage the technology here. From one of our guests, Surdhar, hopefully I didn't butcher that, and I'm going to read it here. From the most compact World Cup in Qatar 22 to probably the largest World Cup to be hosted by USA, Canada, and Mexico in 2026, how do you see the transition, and what will be the learning experience which will be carried forward to FIFA 2026? And I'd really open that up. I think all three of our panelists could have a perspective on that, knowing that it's coming here to North America. Ambassador, you may, Bo, being in the private sector, Jacobs may have an opinion on that, and certainly Bodour, any of your thoughts on lessons learned that can be carried forward from what you're accomplishing there in Doha? Maybe first, maybe Bo, let me come to you first, and then Bodour and then Ambassador, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that it's a great question, and clearly there's a significant difference between the two events. One was starting from a blank canvas where there was very little established infrastructure. It was built and built purpose-built for this particular event. The US / Mexico and Canadian event is much more established. There's still going to need to be a significant coordination effort. We understand that there are some complexities with stadiums that exist in the US around dimensions and some of the turf and some of the other nuances and pretty strict compliance regulations from FIFA. So there's going to need to be a pretty congruent strategy with how soccer overlays into the NFL and overlays into the three countries together. It's also the first time the event will ever be held across three countries, which is going to take a significant coordination effort, not only between the countries, but also FIFA being the sort of, the new FIFA 2.0 model. So, look, Jacobs would love the opportunity to be involved and sort of convey some of our lived experience in Qatar. Clearly, there's going to be a change in how we look at things as well in a post-pandemic world, and applying some of those lessons learned over the last 18 months are going to be really pivotal to having an on-time and on-budget successful event.
Thank you, Bowen. And Bodour, would love your thought. If you were to sit down, and perhaps you already have, with those that are looking at 2026, what would be some of the big takeaways, knowing that, as Bo kind of aptly pointed out, you have a very compact event, and there's going to be spread over 3 countries. Would welcome your thoughts on what kind of guidance you would give to the planners.
Actually, we have seen FIFA already taking in some of the work that we are doing in the bidding for 2026. One example is actually the green building certification for building operations.
Wonderful. Well, and I'm sure that going forward, once you've accomplished what you're looking to achieve, there'll probably be several other lessons learned and a lot of discussion, I would hope. Ambassador, would love to turn to you if you had any thoughts on that. You highlighted the new administration and their ambition around climate, and maybe how that might intersect, again, as this comes to North America.
Thank you. Yeah, very good question. Just in general on the lessons learned, but in advance of, as we're learning these lessons as we go along, for us, the embassy, so we are the U.S. government, slightly different focus. Lessons learned that we would pass on are on security for the events, consular issues, such as, taking care of the citizens of the countries who come to these events, the notification of consular access, anything like that. Visas are a huge issue coming into the States, coming into Qatar, going into Mexico, Canada, these kinds of things. So for us right now, it's less, I'm not probably the best person to answer on U.S. environmental impact lessons learned for private companies. Our role is more security, media, marketing, logistics, things like that. So I really can't answer about environmental impact in 2026 and opportunities. We're still learning those lessons, and we are a much different environment than is Qatar. So I'm going to hold my fire on that answer for a little while. Sorry.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. That's actually a very good point. Bodour, this question I have for you, and this perhaps is a little bit out of your lane, but I'm going to venture to pose it because it's something I think, as we're still amidst the pandemic and hopefully coming through this, but I think something that's on the mind of everybody when you have a mass event like this. What are the preparations underway, not only for COVID, but other potential health hazards, as you're bringing people from around the globe to Doha for this? Is there a cooperation with WHO, or what is being done, to prepare on that health component, which is obviously one of the pillars, being human?
Well, we recently delivered a COVID-safe international tournament, FIFA Club World Cup. The operational model included a lot of special measures, such as medical bubbles. The vaccination program is going fast in Qatar. The FIFA president recently said he is committed to 2022 World Cup with full stadiums.
Wonderful.
And the FIFA has a partnership with the WHO.
Wonderful, very helpful. And we have another question in the chat, and Bodour, this one's for you as well. If you could maybe do a little bit of a deeper dive on you referenced the million trees, and a little bit more on the aspect of that program and what impacts you see that having there in Qatar.
This project is actually driven by the Ministry of Environment. They have studied the best trees to be used, and they have worked with different stakeholders around the country, including schools, other ministries, and other stakeholders, to help them in this particular initiative. Most of the trees are irrigated by recycled water.
Interesting. Well, very interesting, and thank you for that. And I'm sure if others have follow on that, they can always reach out to the Supreme Committee and yourself. Bodour, another one coming your way. I would love to. This is referencing, again, the fact that you have a massive amount of people, coming in from around the globe. So could you speak to your plan to adopt and educate on the 3 R's, reduce, recycle, and reuse for the masses, and what practices you're putting in place for during and post World Cup around that?
In terms of the waste?
Correct. On the 3 R's, reduce, recycle, and reuse.
We are one of our initiatives under the environmental pillar is to minimize the waste to our landfill. So we have a massive focus on our reduction through our sustainability procurement program as well. When it comes to recycling, as I have mentioned in my presentation, that Qatar is moving rapidly in this regard. We are seeing more recycling companies in Qatar, and we hope that we can achieve our goal by minimizing the waste to our landfill.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, and contributing that, and thank you to everybody who has chimed in the chat room with your questions. We really very much do appreciate that. Actually, we'll look to squeeze one more in before we close it out. From David Woodward, will a virtual tour of Qatar's sustainability and impact development be available? That's very interesting, particularly now that we're all, in many respects, in a remote world. Bodour, that one would come to you. Bodour, I think you may be on mute. Again, the question is, will a virtual tour of Qatar's sustainability and impact development be available?
Yes, we can try to do that. It's a great idea.
David, I don't know, maybe you have a marketing background, but wonderful suggestion there. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for making time to offer the comments and suggestions. And again, to all of our speakers, Bodour, Ambassador Holtz, and Bo from Jacobs, we really appreciate you making the time today. And with that, and let me turn it back to Kush to help bring us home.
Well, thank you, everyone. Just to reiterate what Steve said, many thanks to everyone for, and particularly Bodour, for your sharing all of this rich information with us and the question and answer session. As I said, this is the beginning of a focus in this area. And we certainly ask the companies today to send us your questions, ideas, and thoughts so that we can continue to engage with the Supreme Committee on this important effort, and also with our partners in Qatar, the American Embassy, the American Chamber of Commerce, AmCham, and of course, the Qatar ambassador here, Sheikh Mishal, and his team. So once again, thank you everyone for joining, and we appreciate again, Bodour, sincerely the support of the Supreme Committee. The meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.